What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to give you guys a very quick update on Tesla spying video, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening with the earnings that just came out, when Tesla's going to be announcing its earnings, what you should be watching for in the share prices moving forward. Before I begin these levels information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. You sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. You deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends in just 1 week. Anyways, for Tesla, as you guys can see, we have this very, very nice looking range that Tesla's been stuck in. We're going to be watching our 20 EMA as resistance right over here. If we break through this, I'll be watching this 144 area. And if we break through this, we have this nice gap to fill up here. Although Tesla's getting some attention, some excitement right now, I want to talk about some other factors that could affect it as we have earnings coming out very, very soon. With the whole Israel and Iran situation, I was looking into it. I didn't really see anything too crazy that came out recently. I'm not seeing signs of escalation right now, and that's pretty good for the markets. It's allowing the markets to rebound a bit as SPY and the QQQ are trying to start pushing alongside other indices. Now, I also want to call out that right now, in terms of data, look for volatility at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we have very important manufacturing and services data coming out. That's going to be the PMI report at 9:45, 15 minutes after the market opens. Then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have new home sales and more manufacturing numbers. So we'll see what this causes for the markets as well. So look for volatility at 9:45 and then 10 a.m. Besides that, the rest of the data is kind of minor, as we have some bill auctions and note auctions later on during the day. But once again, look for volatility 15 minutes and 30 minutes after the market opens. We'll see what this data causes. Now, for earnings, we just had a couple of them that came out. We had GM, UPS, GE, and PepsiCo just announced their earnings. And then after the market closes, we have the one, the only Tesla stock. Can't wait to see what Tesla announces. This is going to be key for them. For GM, they actually did very, very well. If you look at this, they actually topped forecasts and they're raising their outlook so far. So they did relatively well. Looking at the numbers specifically, they came in line with revenue expectations at about 43 billion. That's above expectations. A nice 7% jump in sales. And we also saw their EPS beat expectations, which is not bad whatsoever as well. On top of this, they also raised their overall company performance and their guidance for 2024. You guys can see it right over here. Their outlook is now increasing as well, and things are looking pretty good for them. They also increased their EPS for a full year, EPS between $8.50 and $9.50, and they boosted their operating cash flow outlooks. This is good for GM. The share price is up like 4% or something, and they did very well. So good earnings, good guidance. That's amazing to hear. PepsiCo also did relatively well in terms of their earnings, even though the share price is kind of flat. You can see the EPS was a beat right over here at $1.61. Revenue was 18.25 billion, above expectations. Net income was not bad, and then their net sales also increased 2.3%. And finally, I just wanted to add that I think that they raised their guidance just a little bit. They reiterated the full year guidance, but they did expect something like revenue to rise at least 4%. So that's not bad whatsoever. Good guidance overall, good earnings, and PepsiCo did very, very well from that end. And finally, we have UPS, which didn't do as great. They beat estimates as cost cuts offset weak delivery demand. So unfortunately, even though they saw about a 3.2% decline in average daily volumes, that's part of why it ended up dropping. They also cut about 12,000 jobs in Japan, not Japan, in January. Excuse me, they cut 12,000 jobs in January, and they also saw lower volumes, if anything, which wasn't really the best of news. To offset this, they're going to be focusing on other sectors to help boost their revenue. So overall, I would say that the revenue is a little bit below expectations at 21.71 billion. Guidance was the same as before, and that's part of why the share price was down. Weak revenue didn't really help it. For other news involving the markets, we're starting to see a recovery attempt by the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and the Dow Composites. GM once again did very, very well, like I mentioned earlier. But now we're going to be listening to see what Tesla ends up doing. Tesla is going to be very, very important from this end, with their earnings coming out very soon. The Federal Trade Commission on Monday sued the Block Coach parent. This is going to be very important. This is after the acquisition of Capri Holdings that's come out. So that's some new news. Besides that, I'm not really seeing anything else too crazy on the news for now. Troy Tesla gave his estimates for what he thinks Tesla's going to be doing for their earnings. You can see right over here that there's a 46 cents. That's the EPS estimate for Q1 in his opinion. I think it's going to be a little below the expectation. In my personal opinion, even if Tesla does miss on earnings, which is still a possibility, that's not the end of the world because what matters more to investors is going to be their guidance. Whatever Tesla's guidance is will matter a lot, and that's going to be very key for what the share price ends up doing. So for now, like I said in my previous video, for Tesla, we're going to be looking to see if we can try to get back up to 144. We have 142 as support. If he loses, look for 140. If we break past 144, we have this gap to fill and this 50 EMA test coming. So we could be looking for about 147 or a little bit under that if we break past 144. Now, Tesla's building a little bit of momentum right over here. And on the 4-hour, I'm starting to see a bullish cross in the PPO that is developing, which suggests that Tesla might actually try to push a little bit and try to fill this gap right before its earnings end up coming out. So we could see a little pop on Tesla. However, like I said in my earlier videos, this move doesn't really matter as much because what matters more is going to be its earnings. Earnings are going to cause a much bigger move. So yes, I think Tesla could pop a little bit, retest 144, maybe go a little higher, but then it doesn't matter as much because their earnings will determine if this thing balances or not. So we'll just have to wait and see. Will earnings launch Tesla all the way up to the 160 plus area to 170, or is Tesla about to get a rug pull into the 120s? We'll just have to wait and see. Excuse me. For Nvda, we're currently at 805. This is what I said yesterday. It might try to push a little bit more. If we break past this resistance, I'll be watching to see if Nvda can push all the way up towards the next level. We have an imbalance to fill all the way up here at 813. So I think it could push a little bit higher. I'm seeing potential in Nvda. For SPY, we're looking bullish right now. We have potential to go all the way up to about 502. If we break this, 505 is coming. It looks a bit more bullish, but we'll just have to see. If we lose 500, we're going to be dipping to 498. Could dip a little bit first as we have the 20 EMA to test. Might see a little dip first before it continues higher. The chart still looks a bit more bullish. For the QQQ, this is going to likely test 422. It looks a bit more bullish as long as we hold above 420. We could dip a little bit to retest, grab liquidity in the 419s, and then push for 422. Plus, looks a bit more bullish to me. For Aapl, this is trying to push a little bit. It's very slow. It's at 166. Could get closer to 166.75 and go a little higher. I'm seeing some potential for 167, but it's kind of slow and a little bit lackluster. Not as strong as before. Amazon's trying to push. I'm going to be looking for a test of 179. If we break this, look for 181 as a strong possibility. For Meta, going to be looking for a test of 492. If we break this, 500 is coming, but watch and see if we could push a little bit more. I'm seeing some potential in this as well. With that being said, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Tesla looks like it could push a little bit more as we head into earnings. This move doesn't matter as much. What matters more is going to be the reaction we get. So we'll be very patient and give this the time it needs. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys very soon in about 1.5 to 2 hours for the next updates, and we'll see how Tesla does for now. Let's hope for the best. I can't wait for what earnings is going to give us. Thank you for listening, and peace out.